Good Thursday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase. Today, for the next hour, we shine the spotlight on weddings and events across the Commonwealth, and today's show is star-studded. We will first welcome Cristelle Koerper to the show from C&O, one of our favorite restaurants. She handles catering and a lot of their events. She's going to join us in about a minute or so. We'll have Dave Norris, great friend of this program. Dave is a Renaissance man, just like our second guest, or our third guest, Ray Caddell. With Dave Norris, he's an officiant. When he's not solving the affordable housing crisis in the area or helping solve the issue or negotiating parking peace treaties, he is doing weddings across Central Virginia as a well-spoken, poignant, and eloquent officiant. And I have personally attended 2 of the weddings Dave Norris has officiated, and he has done just a fantastic job. Ray Caddell needs no introduction. He'll join us in the hour as well. In fact, Ray's going to join us, Jude, about 10:45, 10:50 for Ray, is that right? That's right. And Ray Caddell is just a cool cat. He's just a cool cat. We're going to chat with Big Ray. We're going to see how his band's doing. On Wednesday nights, he does a Zoom call. And on the Zoom call, he has band directors from across the country. So not only does Ray have insight into Charlottesville and Central Virginia as one of the best horn players we know, but he also has this vast network of musicians that he's tapped into where perhaps he can pass along their perspective of what they're seeing in their respective states in the country. So a lot we're going to cover on today's show. Judah Wickhauer is our director. 8+ years we've worked alongside each other. J-Dubs, I'm going to reach out to Cristelle now. In fact, it's ringing. And I'm very much looking forward to chatting with her. We have her on the line. Judah, if I can get a thumbs up from you. Hello, hello. Judah's giving me the green. All right, so you're live. I'm very much looking forward to this.
Yes.
First, an introduction again to you. Tell everybody who you are.
Well, hi, I am Cristelle Koerper. I am the catering director at the C&O. I live out here in the beautiful Lake Monticello area, and what a gorgeous day to be outside. If you haven't had a chance to get outside today or in the past day or so, get out and enjoy it. It's gorgeous.
Had the pleasure of meeting you briefly over here at our studio. She swung by, and I very much enjoyed chatting with you. All right, so let's talk open-ended question first. Where are we at since the last time we chatted with you on the show? What have you been seeing with wedding and events? And then I'll ask you some more specific questions.
Yeah, certainly. So since we last chatted, which was just about a month ago, we've had almost a wedding, if not 2, every weekend. And every one has been different. Overall, I mean, guests are so happy to get out and celebrate. My staff is very happy to work. We're following safety protocols to the millionth degree. I mean, we're still masking up, gloving up, not passing hors d'oeuvres, stationing them out more so. And it's, taking those extra precautions that we're still following. Nothing's, changed there from the last time. It's still very interesting, though, to be in a large setting. And, the guests aren't wearing masks. I mean, let's just be frank about it. They're not. And it can be unsettling a little bit.
What is what's the biggest wedding you've been a part of so far since COVID?
136.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you? How are you during that?
Taking a lot of breaks, not staying in a room for more than 5 to 10 minutes. Really, keeping our social distance away from guests. We're still giving great service, but it's communicating with my staff that I don't want to put you all in danger. So minimize the amount of time that you're in there, especially when you're clearing and there. It's on. It's time for dancing, more drinking. Certainly, they're not social distancing, so take it upon ourselves to do that. Like I said, it's a little unnerving.
How have you guys, Cristelle, continued to evolve the menu at these weddings?
Yeah, so I know that some caterers have done buffets and they're doing it successfully, which is great. I can definitely see the ability to be able to do that more so from a server serving the buffet than a guest going through and serving themselves. A lot of our meals, though, have transitioned to plated dinners just because it's a lot less contact. And it's just the server or the food runner carrying the plate, serving the guests, and so forth.
Are you seeing, and we have questions coming, I'll get to these questions, guys, from some of your colleagues in the space. I'll get to these. Are you seeing folks changing mindset and saying, let's go ahead and move forward? Or are you seeing more of the postponements into the back of 2021 and into 2022? So
everyone for the fall has been hanging on. I do have one that is still looking to postpone. They're looking at of over 200 people, and they just know it's not safe. Thank you. So they are still looking at postponing. They haven't selected their date yet. It'll either be late 2021 or early 2022. But as for everyone else, I mean, they're holding strong. We have a 170 coming up at mid-November, but the soon-to-be husband is getting deployed 2 weeks after the wedding, so they're going forward with it. Will all 170 show? Probably not. I mean, I've got a wedding this weekend that just in the past 2 days, it's gone from 56 down to 52. So the numbers always change. Something you got to roll with.
So questions coming in from your colleagues.
Yeah.
This one coming from the group, the local, and the Junction, the two restaurants in Belmont. Ask her about micro weddings. Are you doing a lot of micro weddings? And then the second part of the question is, what's happening to the additional dollars with the guests not showing up for weddings? Are they reallocating them elsewhere from what you're seeing?
Yeah, so we have had a surge in micro weddings, and I think even for the early 2021, a lot of people are looking at minimizing their numbers so they can still get married, because we're not sure still where we're going to be in the spring of 2021. So keeping the numbers below 50 in that micro wedding has been big, which is great. We can get a couple more weddings in a weekend, or really focus our attention on one beautiful, intimate, close family ceremony and gathering. We've got one coming up at the end of October that I was just at their property yesterday, a beautiful family farm, and it's intimate enough where they can be right outside the house and gather on the pool deck or within the yard. It's perfect. So yeah, there has been a surge, great question, in those micro weddings that are being booked and happening. As for the additional dollars, we're a little bit different. The CNO is a little bit different. We invoice post the event. So we really don't see any of those additional dollars until after the wedding. So we still don't charge until we know that final number.
I like that. I like that. More questions coming in. This is from a photographer, and it's due to our friend Sam, who's helped create this rig for us here. I was talking with this particular gentleman who's watching about streaming weddings, and he wants me to ask each of the guests, are you seeing the live streaming option at some of the weddings you're working?
Yeah, so the first wedding that we had back, actually, they live streamed their wedding. It was difficult because we were at a property where a majority of the properties in Elmore County have this. So being able to get a feed or find a hot spot or ping off a tower, it's tricky. So what I've seen on a couple, if they're not able to live stream, they video it, and then it's replayed later. And then once they get into a spot for the reception where they're able to have a hot spot or live stream or get the Wi-Fi, then they pick up from the live streaming, like getting those toasts and those first dances and the cake cutting and things like that. But, live streaming has really picked up, especially for those smaller weddings that we're looking at having the larger celebration.
Very cool. How about a highlight of the venues? Like, who are you hearing or seeing doing it the right way? Because just like you, we try to highlight people doing good things and positive stuff here, especially during COVID. give some props to some of the colleagues that you think are going above and beyond.
So I really, I think all of us have had to transition. And I mean, I was listening to Aaron's call last week. You don't want to pick out just one, but they all have been wonderful, because really we know as a community we need to come together and protect our frienders and protect the guests. So I think the open air tent is going to be huge. So props to Keswick. You're already ahead of the game before you even knew it. As for the indoor venues, all of them, I mean, we've been at Trump quite a bit, making sure that the tables are socially distanced. They have hand sanitizer stations. You know, guests are bringing them or renting them, but they have their own personal hand sanitizer throughout. They are, one thing that I thought was, you know, very cool. Well, before we put the ceremony chairs away at Trump last weekend, Patrick came along and he sprayed down the chairs. He sanitized the chairs before we stacked them up and put them away. I mean, we were outside, a little bit less, you know, chance, but they still took that extra measure. Another thing, at all of the venues, the venue staff going around and cleaning the restrooms and doing sanitary checks, I would say every half hour, which is awesome to see. So.
You're an awesome interview. You make this extremely easy here. How about a final word? Anywhere you want to go? You have and you just taught me a new word. Was it frienders? A combination of vendors and friends. I love that. Yep. I'm going to steal that from her. That's perfect. All right. Anywhere you want to go, any topic you want to cover at all, the show's yours.
Awesome. So for all of the frienders that are out there, you know, keep staying positive. Keep booking those small weddings, large weddings. Keep being in communication with your clients, you know, letting them know that we're going through this with you and we want to make sure that your day is awesome. Sticking with your, you know, your internal guests, which is your staff, and making sure that you're protecting them and keeping them safe. We're going to get through this. It's been fun getting back into events. Are we where we were before? No. Will we be there? Maybe. Hopefully soon. Probably not that soon. But it's just, you know, like I said a month ago, it's staying positive and, you know, caring for each other and showing the love and keep going. And then on that note, I mean, of course, C&O, get out there, support the restaurant, support the downtown local community, all of the, I mean, the local Junction, heading out to Belmont, heading downtown, getting those small mom and pop shops, attending, you know, making a reservation, getting to go curbside, keep it going. Winter's coming. And we got to keep positive and keep those lights on the best we can.
You were awesome. Seriously, that was so good. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jerry. Have a good day.
You too. Take care. Take care. Oh, I love that. I love the friender word, combination of friend and vendor. I absolutely love that, Cristelle. Jude, I'm going to reach out to Dave Norris. He's already getting props right now. Popular guy, well-liked guy in this community. Very talented officiant, Dave Norris. I just like, I love connecting and talking with people here. And this guy's one of my favorites. Dave, we got you on the line. I want to see, oh, there we go. Oh, look at sharp. Are you going to a wedding right now, D? Are you looking sharp?
We're walking up the steps to get somebody married here.
Oh, that is amazing. Dave Norris, you made time for us. That is so, thank you. Claire Francis has already given you some props right now. All right, Dave, for the couple people that are watching that do not know you, and by a couple I mean one or two people, Dave, how about some insight into your officiant business?
Right? I'm sorry, say that again,
Give us some
Jerry?
insight into your officiant business and how long you've been doing this.
I've been doing this since 2009, Jerry. So I'm almost on my 600th wedding now. And, you know, I got into this when I was serving in office in Charlottesville. And people thought it'd be cool to have their friend the mayor as their wedding officiant. And I really just get a kick out of doing it. And I got a couple kids who are in college, so it helps to bring in a little extra money. And it's just a real treat. And it's great to be part of this really thriving wedding industry here in Charlottesville.
I've been at 2 of your weddings, and that you have, were the officiant, and you were amazing. I mean, everyone that knows you knows that you have a way for human connection and the spoken word. What really struck me from what you did and the 2 weddings is you got to know the bride and the groom, their interests, etc. How's that process work?
Yeah, basically it's just a matter of getting to meet with them before the wedding, sometimes more than once, just to hear a little bit more about their story, how they met, how they got engaged. We talk through different ideas for the ceremony, talk through the plan for, every ceremony is a little different, which is kind of a treat. So it never gets boring, it never gets dull, it never feels routine. So this ceremony we're getting ready to do today, it's a couple they're both on their second marriages, and we're heading up to the mountaintop here at Monticello to get them married off. And it'll be I love all the different venues. That's the other great thing about Charlottesville. There's so many wonderful wedding venues, which is so it's a lot of variety. And again, it's just I really enjoy this work. So it's nice to have a job that you enjoy going to.
You got a lot of comments coming in. So Ray Caddell says, Dave Norris is good. He married Ray the Third and Sarah. Dave is one of the best. Barbara Lundgren says, Dave is awesome. No matter what job he is doing, Dave is awesome. All right, let me throw, you got comments and questions coming in. How about, what are you seeing and feeling from a COVID standpoint in some of these weddings? How have the guests responded? How's been the temperature at these weddings? Anywhere you want to go on that?
Are you with the same group?
Yes, hold on. Yeah, so basically, people have been very cautious and very careful, and which you like to see. And so people are, having masks. We're doing social distancing. I think people want to make sure that their guests are safe, that their vendors stay safe. Certainly weddings have been scaled down significantly, but. Sorry. We're heading up to the mountaintop here.
I love it, Dave. You're multitasking. So this is a Thursday wedding here. Are you doing a lot of midweek weddings?
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that they definitely, the bread and butter was always these big weekend weddings.
I think we got you. Do we lose him here? Frozen. Oh, man. Let's see if we can get him here. Oh, I really wanted to hear what he had to say. He is literally going and doing a wedding now as we speak. Literally. I love Dave Norris. For him to make some time for us, I mean, thank you, Dave, for doing that. I'm going to reach back out to him. Oh, I think we got you, Dave. And I know you're about to go do a wedding here. You're super busy. So finish your thought. What were you saying there?
Yeah, again, the wedding industry is certainly scaling back. It's because of the coronavirus, and so people aren't having the big blowout weddings that they used to have. But it's good to see that they're still making it happen. And ceremonies are still happening. They're just happening in a little bit of a different way for now. So.
All right, I know you're busy, and you're going literally to do a wedding as we speak at Monticello. 2 more questions, and I'm going to let you go here. The final question is going to be a word for the entire industry, a message for the entire industry. But before we get there, does Dave Norris have a favorite venue?
That's going to get me in trouble, Jerry. I have to revert to my old politician self. And
you like them all.
We have so many beautiful ones, and with all the great wineries and breweries and all the inns and hotels, it's just it's an embarrassment of riches when it comes to wedding venues here, which is a great problem to have.
All right, you're going to love this, and then I'm going to ask for a final word. You're really going to love this comment that just came in. Are you ready for this? Here's the comment, and this is live programming at its finest, Dave. The comment says, how much time, Dave Norris, will you have to marry folks when you're named the new city manager of Charlottesville, Virginia?
Oh, you had to go there, Jerry.
All right. I'm going to close on this because I know you're busy here. How about a final word? Anywhere you want to go for all the folks that are watching.
Well, my final word is, we're really blessed to have this this thriving wedding industry here in Charlottesville, and even with the challenges posed by coronavirus, people are still making it happen. And I feel really privileged to be part of a wedding community that sticks together through thick and thin. And I love to see people falling in love and getting married. So it's a pleasure to be part of that moment.
Dave, I love you, dude. I seriously love you, dude. Hey, you have a heck of a wedding. Thank you for giving us some time. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Jerry. Sorry it's a little disjointed this morning.
No problem.
Really pleased to be here.
It was great. You have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. Take care.
Oh, I love Dave Norris. He's at Judah, at Monticello, about to do a wedding. And he made some time for us on the show. I mean, I love that guy. Dave Norris is A-plus people. A-plus people. Ray Caddell, we'll reach out to you in about 20 seconds, 30 seconds here in the program. We'll spend some time with Big Ray. Comments coming in on what? This 5 or 6 pages we're airing this on. This is coming in for Cristelle. If you're still watching, you did a fantastic job on that interview, Cristelle. Brittany Bianco Shields watching the program as we speak. Ryan Simmons, hello. Lloyd Rittner III, hello. Lyra Tinsley and James Johnson, welcome to the broadcast. We have folks in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Maryland watching the show as we speak. Jude, I'm going to reach out to Big Ray Caddell, and catch up with another friend today on the program. I love Big Ray. I love the Cool Cats. This guy can talk real estate. This guy can talk music. This guy can talk business. This guy can talk scotch. This guy can talk having a good time. I mean, he's just A-plus people. Ray, you are live. I love your shirt. The last time we interviewed you, we had your favorite bottle of scotch on the shelf over your shoulder. It's not there anymore. Is it there?
I finished it.
I know you did. I know you did. All right, Ray, you're live, my friend. How's it going? How's it going?
Good. It's going good, Jerry. It's an interesting time in the wedding business, to say the least.
Tell us.
Well, I have a Zoom group that I put together the 3rd week in March. We meet every Wednesday without fail. Even last night, which was my wife's birthday, we still met. It is mostly band leaders, but some venue people and some other vendors from all over the country. And we talk about what's going on in the wedding business. We talk about how to be safe. We talk about, are your guests wearing their masks? And no is the answer to that, everywhere. Sometimes, not so much anymore, but in the beginning, the Virginia guys and the North Carolina guys were shocked by what's going on in Georgia and Texas and even South Carolina. You know, South Carolina's wide open right now. Restaurants, indoors, 100%, nightclubs, let's go. So, and I'm not suggesting that that's a good thing. I'm just saying it's different so many places. We have on that group every week, I try to have a speaker for about, the first 15 minutes I like to have a speaker. The last 15 minutes I had to put a rule in effect, which was you can only say positive things because we were bumming each other out every week. But we had a really interesting speaker last night. She's a PhD in pharmacology, and she talked to us about how to stay safe. She talked to us about supplements and interesting things, elderberry, and I have notes, CBD. She's a big CBD person. Vitamin C, ginger and lemon tea, turmeric, zinc, vitamin D, because we're all looking, those of us that are out there on the front line, so to speak, we're looking to stay safe. And it was so interesting to hear her perspective on this, particularly because she's from Atlanta. Her name's Dr. Yama Brown. Her daddy was James Brown, the James Brown. And she was introduced to me by one of our members, Heather Hayes, whose daddy was Isaac Hayes, the Isaac Hayes. So I get to hang out with some great people on Wednesdays and hear some great stories and learn stuff. And it's pretty exciting. But one thing that we're finding is, we talked about this before, you and I, there's no saving 2020 for the wedding business. Just because we move a date from 2020 to 2021 doesn't mean we saved anything. We were going to work that day in 2021 for somebody anyway. So we've all pretty much accepted that. because of that group, we were able to learn. I brought an accountant in. We were able to learn and get our musicians, almost without exception, some money. You know, we've talked about this before. They're 1099 guys. It's the gig economy they talk about. And my guys, even retroactively through July, we're getting $758 a week. That's pretty good. They had some weeks they didn't make $758 with me, particularly if we weren't working. So, you know, those kind of things we work on. I've done some micro weddings. I don't go out and do a micro wedding. What I will do is if you call me and say, hey, Ray, we need to postpone our wedding. We're actually going to get married, but we want to have the party next year. Then I say, got it, Jerry. Let's look at dates. I said, what are you going to do? Where are you going to have the wedding? And he said, well, it's going to be the same place. And I said, okay. You're going to be outside? They said, yeah. I said, how many people are coming? Last week is a perfect example, 40. I said, okay. So what are you going to do for music? They said, well, I haven't really thought about that. I said, how are 40 people outside going to hear the officiant, going to hear Dave Norris, you know, do the vows and all that? He said, well, I hadn't thought about that. I said, then when you get done, are you having cocktails or hors d'oeuvres or dinner or anything? Well, we're going to do a little something. I said, what about the first dance? I'm usually talking with the bride at this point. She said, well, I thought we'd do that next year. I said, well, we are going to do it next year, but you should have it on your wedding day too. I said, and guess who the guy is that can wrap all of that up in a package for you? So we've just done our fourth, where we go out, we set up those speakers for the officiant and everything. We play some ceremony music, we play some cocktail music, we play some dinner music. We'll play your first dance, and at Veritas out on the deck Saturday night, kind of turned into a 40-person party with, you know, Motown and Don't Stop Believing and everything else. So you use the word all the time. We've just had to pivot. I mean, that's all there is to it. As far as 2021, second, third, and fourth quarter, people are booking and seem confident. I will tell you, everybody wants a COVID escape clause in their contract.
Wow.
Hard to blame them for that.
Yeah.
First quarter is still very much in jeopardy, I think, as well as, you know, fourth quarter this year is. It's complicated.
Let me throw this to you, and this question's coming in. How does someone who plays the horn as talentedly as you, but also as Can I use the word aggressively? I mean, you bring it. You bring it when you're playing the horn. And
if the lights shine right on me when I'm playing, you can see
vapor.
Exactly, coming out of the end of my horn. That means I'm working hard.
So you're the leader of the band. They look to you to set everybody's looking to you to set the energy and the mood of the wedding. What is your attire from a mask or a shield standpoint, also your horn, and same with the folks that are in your band?
Sure. Well, it starts at the beginning. The very beginning is, if you're playing in Big Ray and the Cool Cats and we have a job this week, you have to show me a clean test or you're not getting on stage with me. So Monday, almost all of us go to CVS and get tested, because just because of social distancing, the odds are much greater of me catching something from one of my people than they are from the audience. The second thing is, I go and visit every venue 2 or 3 weeks before we play there, even if I've been there 100 times. I'm at Pippin Hill this weekend. I've been at Pippin Hill 100 times, but I went out to look at it and talk to the people and talk to the planner. Show me where my stage is. Show me where the dance floor is going to be. No, it's not going to butt up to my stage. Not now. Show me how I get from the stage to the green room, because I can't just walk through the crowd anymore. I'm not going to do it. And then I'll tell you what we're going to do to try to protect your guests. Number one is, like I said, we get tested. That's the most important thing. Number two, if you are in my band and you don't wear and you don't sing or play a horn, you've got a mask on all night long, period, all night long, on stage or off, all night long. Everybody else wears one off stage automatically. My singers, I've left it as an option to them. About half of them wear it. We just have to try to handle it electronically. It's not as good. It's not as not singing without a mask on. The horn players, this is a very complicated issue with the horn section. Trumpets and saxophones and trombones, I can't stand there and just point it out at the audience. I just can't do it. It's irresponsible. But I don't want to point it at my sax player, who's been with me since we played in his daddy's band either. So yeah, the setup's a lot different. It'll look, you'll see me most likely playing towards a side wall or towards a back wall. It doesn't affect the sound out front because of microphones, but it certainly affects the look of it. We don't come off the stage and try to rile the crowd up like we always do. The crowd's not coming on my stage. I don't remember the last time until COVID that the bridesmaids didn't come up and do Don't Stop Believing with us. That's not happening anymore. We developed a COVID protocol sheet within this Wednesday night group that we all send to our clients ahead of time and say, listen, here's the deal. Here's what we have to have. It was interesting to hear Christelle talking about buffets and how she didn't come right out and say it, but she don't like the idea of them at all.
Right, I could tell.
We won't eat from a buffet. Normally, we get a nice buffet in a dressing room. They take great care of us. Everything's fine. We won't do that. I have to have individual meals. They got to have cloches on them or tops or saran wrap or something when they come to us. Yeah, we just have to be careful. You know, it's a hard thing, and she danced around it a little bit, but the vendors aren't the problem. Right. The vendors aren't the problem. Any responsible vendor's going to have a mask on. Every waiter's going to have a mask on. The planners, almost without exception, will wear a mask all night. There's a lot of communication that goes on between me and a planner. I have an iPad that sits right there, so they can email me, they can text me. We talk about how are we gonna make that, and little things. You know, hey, it's time for it. The father of the bride doesn't want to speak now; he wants to speak later. You know, there's things like that have to happen. When the father of the bride comes up to give his welcome, when the bridesmaid gives her welcome, or maybe two bridesmaids, when the best man, every single one of those people gets their own microphone. They're certainly not getting mine.
Right.
Like sometimes I do. But they actually get their own. And then it goes to one of my road crew who takes it and sanitizes it and puts it away and then re-sanitizes it next week. I don't even go bridesmaid to bridesmaid with a microphone because they're not thinking about that, but that's part of my job to protect them from something like that. But here's the craziest thing of all. So you may have seen the news yesterday. I'm sure you did. You always see the news that there's this group of guys called the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It's the head guy of the Navy, the Army, the Marines, the Air Force, and the Coast Guard. So they were all in a meeting. I think it was maybe this at the Rose Garden or something. I'm not really sure. And one of them's positive. The Coast Guard guy is positive. So all those guys are in quarantine now. Also in quarantine now is the chief of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Many people think is the most powerful man in America and possibly the world. That's the guy that really has his finger on the button, not the president. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he's the soldier. He's the guy. He also is somebody else. A week from Saturday, he's the father of the groom at my wedding that I'm playing. Yeah. Freak coincidence, of course.
So can he go to the wedding, or is he in quarantine?
Well, we don't know at all. I don't know. I talked to the Secret Service this morning. They wanted to know how clean we were. I said, I got paperwork to show you. I said, and as long as you're bringing it up. They said, yeah, they have not made that decision yet.
Wow.
So I think if you look at the numbers right, I think he comes out of quarantine a week from tomorrow, a week from Friday, which will be okay. But yeah, I mean, this whole COVID thing, the levels that it's affected American society and especially American business is unbelievable. I ran into my dry cleaner the other day, and she said, "Where have you been?" And I said, "How many tuxes do I have?" She said, "Many." I said, "How about tuck shirts?" She said, "Many." I said, "You know, we've only worked 4 times since March. I still got like 5 clean ones in the closet." So she said, nobody's, people are staying home and Zooming, so guys aren't taking their suits to the cleaners, and women aren't taking fancy dresses to the cleaners because they're not going out to fancy charity galas because there aren't any. I don't think we're anywhere near, forget about solving the problem and the vaccination and all of that. I don't think we're anywhere near the bottom of this thing economically. And I think the wedding and event business is a perfect microcosm of what's happening. It's, we all got a smiley face on, but man, we are struggling. All of us, every vendor, every caterer, every musician. It's an awkward time. There's no doubt about it. And then next year looks artificially good on all our calendars because it has a lot of dates that were postponed from this year on it. We're not going to see till 2022, I predict, what the landscape's going to look like in the wedding business. I think it might go to a lot of smaller events. I think that guy with a 12-piece band might be in jeopardy of being extinct. He won't be extinct because it's me, but I might have to pivot, as you say, sometimes.
How so? Smaller band?
Sure, I might have to. I just might have to. If we, I got a lot of people again on this Wednesday night group from North Carolina. It's still 50 in North Carolina. 50. So I don't care how many times I explain to you that my 12-piece band knows how to play quietly and is not going to overcome your 50 guests sonically. It's going to look funny. It's going to be a weird dynamic, and we're already dealing with some of those things. I've talked to some of the big agencies in the country. There's a company called East Coast Entertainment that has postponed or canceled 3,100 2021 dates. 3,100. In December, just one little band, just me. In December, every December I bring in a Elvis impersonator. He hates that term. An Elvis tribute artist from Las Vegas. USA Today says he's the best. Nobody's close. And and he's a great guy, and he's really, really talented. So we had an 11-city tour set up for December of performing arts centers mostly, and we're down to 3, and I'm worried about that. How
about your partners at the Greenbrier?
Sure. So the Greenbrier, West Virginia, the Homestead, Virginia. I have the New Year's Eve. I'm at both events. I'm at both. It's a good thing they're only 45 minutes apart. So the Ray Caddell Orchestra is at one, and Big Ray and the Cool Cats is at the other. And we've done that for a lot of years. At the Homestead, we are going to split the party into different rooms at different times to keep the social distancing down. And I brought along a couple of DJs actually to help me with that. At the Greenbrier, the head of the Department of Health at the Greenbrier has decided that one of the most dangerous things is singing, is what comes out of someone's mouth. So they haven't made it a mandate, but he said, I'm very concerned about that, and you might as well start looking at this right now, folks, because a church choir at Christmas is a really bad idea this year. The Christmas cantata, the school choir concert, all of that stuff, and bands, particularly on New Year's Eve, playing Christmas. So the Greenbrier took that very seriously. And one of the reasons they took it so seriously is the Greenbrier is currently owned by the governor of West Virginia. Right. He was the owner of the Greenbrier first, then he became the governor. So the Greenbrier called me and they said, they didn't even call me, they sent me an email. They said, what kind of a discount can we get if you don't bring any singers? So I emailed him back. I said, well, I'll have to think about that. I'm not sure what kind of show you can get.
Well, why can the singers not wear masks and sing?
Well, sure they could. Sure they could. I think they're overreacting. The stage at the Greenbrier is huge. It's maybe half the size of the stage at the Pavilion. It's big. and it's 6 feet in the air. I've had 1,000 people in there on New Year's Eve before. They need a ladder to climb up on the stage. So that's not going to happen there. But, you know, it's not my job to argue with my clients, particularly about safety. If they said, this is what we want, how can we work it out? So that's what we're going to do. I have put 2 guys in the band on purpose who are great instrumentalists, but great singers as well, in case it morphs into something a little different later in the evening. We need to musically be ready for it. But yeah, it's terrible, man. It's terrible. This Elvis thing, something I never thought of. You know, every time I say, well, you know, I've already made all the mistakes. I've been in this business 55 years. You know, nope. Here's a new one I hadn't thought of. What's the largest indoor venue, not counting JPJ, in Charlottesville?
Largest indoor venue, not
indoor.
I mean, it's got to be. Is it the Paramount?
You would think. It's the Martin Luther King Center for the Performing Arts at Charlottesville.
Wow.
It's about 300 seats bigger than the Paramount, which is number 2. So that's owned by the city of Charlottesville and Charlottesville schools. That is not an uncommon thing in towns. I have 4 shows with Elvis in Martin Luther King type venues owned by school systems in 3 different states, 2 in Pennsylvania and 2 other states. Schools aren't open. No shows. Yep. They said they didn't even talk about social distancing. They said school's not open, theater's not open, period. What we've done with the 3 that are left, and we're still working on it, I hope the Paramount's one of them. We're close to figuring this out. I just called everybody. I said, hey, we want to do 2 shows. They said, what are you talking about? We can't pay any more money. I said, I don't want any more money. We want to do 2 shows. We're going to do shows at 7 and 9. There's half of your social distancing problem solved right there.
But would it be a shorter show, though?
There would be less of the cool cats, but the Elvis part won't be any shorter. We usually do an hour and a half with him, straight with 3 costume changes and, you know, all the shows from the different eras, and we can still do that now.
Why not?
Yes, if we did 7 to 8:30, took a 30-minute break, changed clothes, went back out, and did it again at 9. We could.
Why not prioritize outside venues like the Pavilion? Is it because of the weather?
It's December,
man.
It's
December. Okay, you're right. It's December. You put this comment on the feed for Cristelle, and I didn't have a chance to ask her this. And it's a good question, and I'm going to ask your.
Oh,
yeah. So I'll ask the question.
Yeah.
So he put this on the feed. Ray did. As the months get colder, and this specifically is going to apply to the rest of 4th quarter into 1st quarter, January, February, March, and let's be frank, some of April could be rather chilly in Virginia as well. So his question was, we have these outside tents, and these outside tents at venues have no walls. But as we get into the colder months and the walls maybe start popping up to keep the heat inside, how is that going to impact things? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the walls come down. They have propane heaters that shoot heat into there. So to me, and we just talked about this last night on my Wednesday night group, to me, that's the most dangerous thing of all. That's worse than a ballroom. If I'm in the ballroom at the Omni, they've got an HVAC system. The air is being changed out so many times an hour. I don't know. It's coming in. It's going out. If you're in a tent and you put the walls down and you pump heat into it, that's a petri dish. I mean, everything's going to grow in that environment. I'm not sure I'm going to play any of those. We have, again, we've been talking about that the last several weeks. That's the beauty of this group. I didn't even think that question up. Somebody else did, but I said, oh my God, that's terrible. So yeah, so we're thinking about that too. It's the guests are not taking this as seriously as they should. So my question is, who's driving that? Is that the bride and her family? Is it liquor and booze? Is it the vendor? No, well, you would think that, except I will tell you, I did an event just a couple weeks ago, and we played a ceremony and cocktails outside. They came into the ballroom, 118 people. I don't want to speak to the venue because there's a big nasty thing going on right now about that I might be called upon to testify in. They came in. They took their masks off. It was backwards. Had masks on outside. They came in. They took them off, ready to party. Seems like the bride is supposed to say to the vendor, geez, I don't want anybody getting sick from my wedding. What a terrible legacy to leave behind. When they come in the door, tell them, hey, you have to have your mask on. Let's take their temperature with that little gun. What could be easier? And I will tell you, we're asking about venues. We were at Veritas last Saturday. They did a great job. Their staff has been trained charmingly to say, Mr. Miller, we understand that you have to take your mask off to take a bite of your food and have a drink, but you need to put it back on right after that. Not at the end of dinner, because don't forget, there's no social distancing. You're not sitting 6 feet away from your wife and the people across the table from you. And they drove that decision and that vibe really, really professionally and nicely. I've not had this happen yet, but we decided in my band leader group, what are you going to do when they try to jump up on the stage? Because they do. And by the way, most of the times it's the bridesmaids leading the charge on that thing, who have drunk more than they ever have in their lives, except the sorority party. And particularly now, everybody's one of your guests said this, everybody's so excited to be out and doing something. So we figured out the only thing that works is you just stop playing and walk off the stage. Just stop and walk off the stage. And have somebody say, oh, y'all go back down where you belong, we'll start again. And I've not had to utilize that, but we have had we've had band leaders that have had to do that, and they said not only does it work, it's the only thing that works. But you know, we're either all in this together or we're not. I was at a convenience store yesterday. First of all, my wife made me stop yelling at people in stores if they don't have their mask on. She said somebody's going to shoot.
Was this at the was it the Liberty in Keswick because you like their barbecue sandwich?
No. I have had that problem there.
Because you had the problem there with the masks. And you also pointed to, you also brought it to my attention about the guys playing the slot machines all afternoon there.
Well, that's a whole other show, isn't it? So I went to get my Diet Coke in the morning at this convenience store. And I walked in, and let's try to be nice about this. There was a soft drink vendor there, a guy bringing soft drinks. And he had the cart, and he was coming in with the hand cart with the soft drinks. He was in the store. No mask. Not even like poorly worn hanging around his neck, just no mask. And the store manager is standing there with her clipboard checking stuff in. She don't have no mask on either. They're 2 feet from each other, and they'd have been really close to me if I had gone to get a drink. So I don't say anything to anybody anymore, but that's not good enough for me. I'm not that kind of guy. I did call the home headquarters of the convenience store chain, and I did call the local soft drink vendor, and I said, look, I am sure this is not what you're teaching your people to do, but I'm telling you it's not working. Yeah. You know, I'm a pretty conservative guy, in a lot of ways. But I'm not so stupid that I can't do something so easy as wear a mask when I'm around other people. It's just not that big a deal. I don't actually care if it works or doesn't work. There's some scientists that think it works. So you know what? If you're going to be around me, you're going to have a mask on, or I'm just not going to patronize your business. I'm just not going to. But it's, I really hope that things are getting better. I really hope they are. It seems like
it does. It does seem like we're turning the corner. We're going to see what happens come flu season and when this election is behind us, but it does seem like we are turning the corner. Your buddies over at CVille are watching, and this question's come in. What rebounds first, or are they hand in hand? Music, live music, or weddings?
I believe weddings. I think that, well, that's not true. Live music will rebound first because the numbers are so much smaller. There's still a guy playing the guitar at you know, some winery on Saturday. That kind of stuff's still there. The big charity galas, the big weddings, the things like that, those are the things that the weddings will come back first because it's such a important family dynamic. I don't know when we're going to see the other 20% of my business, which is charity galas and corporate dates. I don't know when we're going to see those again. Yeah, it's a great question, but we're coming back. You know, even after the Depression, even during the Depression, people were looking for somewhere to get a drink and do the Charleston. Right. I mean, you know, we serve musicians serve I think vital, but a real social purpose too. And I think Cristelle made that clear when they were doing a wedding. That people just want to get out and they just want to do it. We just have to. Somebody's got to be the big kid in the room. The vendor, the band leader, the caterer. We've got to keep this thing where it's supposed to be. As far as people saying, actually, you just alluded to it a second ago. People saying, well, maybe after the election, it'll be better after the election. Or my personal favorite, I have a woman that has a day job running a restaurant and a bar in Richmond, and I laid her off. I said, I can't have you on the stage with me because your day job, if you look at what's the most dangerous place you could be in terms of COVID.
Was that the very beautiful lady that you brought to our studio that one time to play? She has a daughter. She has a tremendous voice.
No, she has 2 daughters. No, she has retired after 12 years with us, I think. Found a guy, met him. That guy has 2 kids. He's a preacher. Just wasn't enough time for all of us in there. It's actually the woman that replaced her. But yeah, it's difficult, man. It's difficult. There's listen, there's no shortage of out of work singers and vocalists and musicians and everything. But when you have a band like my band and like virtually all of Sam Hill's bands, we're all pretty much the same people every night. It's not a pickup situation. So it's not just a musical issue, it's a family dynamic. When we went back to work September the 10th, it was the first time many of us had seen each other since March 6th was the last time we worked. And that never happened. I got guys been with me 20 years. I mean, that's just
They're
never happened.
Family.
Yes. We are indeed. We are indeed. But when people talk about, you know, maybe after the election, or this particular woman that I had to lay off said, you know, how about after the first of the year? And I said, as soon as you can convince me that this virus understands the Holy Roman calendar, I said, you can start giving me dates, like November 7th or whatever election day is this year or something like that. I said, we got to behave. We have got to behave if we're going to get in big groups. And you know, I'm so lucky that my clients are financially in a position to either have 2 events this year and next year, or to cut the size of their event down dramatically and not try to hurt the vendors. I have one this weekend was going to be 230. It's going to be 70. Wow. But there was not, you know, they didn't have any interest in affecting my money. I'll just have to work a little harder.
This comment this question is perfect on this topic. It's from Andy Wilfong, and he has a question specifically for you. He says, "Hi Ray, hello Jerry. I am a music vendor, and we are now occasionally being requested to lower our prices for smaller weddings. The conversation now starts off with, 'Hi, We need music for a small group of 40 to 50 people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Can you lower your price and give us a discount because it's only 40 to 50 people? Andy continues, and he's looking for advice from you, Ray. He says, it's difficult for me to explain to the bride that no matter how many people attend, it still requires the same amount of equipment, the same amount of time invested to work the event. Ray, what are your thoughts on the long-term effects of this thinking from the buyers, and how can we convince our vendors across the board to stick to their prices so we can survive this and still be around in 20 years? That's a great question.
Sure it is. So let's leave the musicians aside for a second. Most vendors that I know of, and again, because of the size of my band and the type of event I play, I run into mostly high-end vendors. Most of the ones I know are holding firm to their prices. This is what whenever anybody talks to me about pricing, this is what I say to them. COVID or not, I've been saying this for years. I say, listen, let me make sure you understand this. If your wedding was in my backyard, I'd give you a discount. Here's what I get paid for. I get paid for getting up, taking a shower, leaving my family, going to wherever the event is, unpacking a truck. I don't do any of that anymore, but I pay somebody to unpack the truck, set everything up, and do all that. And then at the end, take all that home. My road crew often has 20-hour days. Often. That's what we get paid for. We perform for free. We love to play. That's not the problem. Now, it is nice to get paid and get that validation for in my case, 50-some years I've been playing the trumpet for money. And all those lessons my mom paid for. You know, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a great point, Andy. And if and until quality musicians hold firm with their pricing, it's going to be a race to the bottom. And I will tell you something. Everybody always says, hey, Charlottesville's a great music town. I'm like, well, there's a lot of great musicians here. And there's a lot of places you can go hear music cheap. But, you know, we used to play tracks and get $10 at the door. Big Ray and the Cool Cats back in the swing era. And we used to make a lot of money on that door deal. You try to get a $10 cover charge in this town these days, or a $5 cover charge, or any cover charge. People expect the music to be free. Nothing hurts me more than to see a quality musician or a group of musicians with a tip bucket in front of them. It just hurts me. I mean, it really, really hurts me. People, sometimes the father or bride will say to me, hey, what do I do about a tip? And I always give them the same speech. Look, I charged you exactly what I think we're worth. I said, if somehow we exceeded your expectations, sure, I'll take your money. You know, the truck always needs a new tire or something. But, you know, I'm not a tipped employee, and musicians should not have to try to eke out an existence doing that. And Andy's so right. I call it the race to the bottom. You know, there's always going to be somebody cheaper. And I told somebody, same line I use all the time when people start talking about money. I said, listen, make sure you listen carefully, because it kind of is confusing a little bit. But here it goes. You don't always get what you pay for. You don't. But you almost never get what you didn't pay for.
Amen.
So, yeah, try to deliver a quality thing. I don't know what I recognize Andy's name, but I don't really know what his musical situation is.
Let us know, Andy.
Yeah,
let us know.
He's and let me tell you something else. In the wedding band business, the photographers, they're not charging less. The caterers, you know, per person, they're not charging less. Per person, they probably have to charge more to stay in business. So yeah, it's a hard thing. You know, the music business is tough. I will tell you, the fact that I've been a member of the American Federation of Musicians since I was 14 years old, because you had to where I grew up to work. But you know, there's very little union presence of any kind, but particularly the musicians union in Virginia. It's right to work state, and you know, there's no collective bargaining. We're musicians. We're a little too independent. We can't get together and all figure this out. And as soon as we do, somebody's going to scream price fixing or something. But yeah, it's I I think musicians, particularly guys playing weddings and restaurants, I'm not weddings, wineries and restaurants and smaller private parties and things like that, I think we get taken advantage of because the client knows we love what we do. We love what we do. Doesn't mean there's not value to it or there's any less value to it. You know, if you had a great employee that was happy every day that he came to work at your advertising agency and did great work, did you think you should start paying him less because he liked his job? Well, no, that's ridiculous. But people say that to me all the time. Ma, you look like you're having such a good time up there. You know, I'm surprised they're going to pay you that much. I'm like, yeah, I am having a good time. But it's a hard business. It's really a hard business. And then COVID on top.
I know, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Listen, I'm a very, very lucky guy. I'm not good at a lot of things, but I'm really good at two things. And one of them's real estate, and one of them's being a musician. So, you know, it all depends. I have years where I have a lot of years where it's 70-30. It's just a question of which the 70% is. Sometimes it's the music business, sometimes it's the real estate business, because there's only so much for me to go around. I will tell you this year, I'm damn glad I have a day job. Didn't work since March, like I said. Don't know what's going to happen in December. I just got something popped in. This is horrifying. It said, this is not a mistake. Your December 5th wedding reception wants to move to December 10th, 2022.
No way!
Not 2021, 2022.
Oh my gosh.
So I started to get a little upset as I saw that came in, but then I remembered that, yeah, I'm going to need money in 2022. That's probably okay.
Andy Wilfong says, Ray, I own a small DJ and AV lighting and sound company. And he looks up to you.
See, I think that's really good news. I have a very close friend in Raleigh, a DJ named Ben Felton. Ben is the $3,500 a night DJ for your wedding. Ben's like hiring a small band, but he's that good, and the lighting and the production and the whole thing. But you know what? It's one guy. He doesn't take up much space. There's not really a social distancing issue. I predict that that 2021 is going to be a big year for DJs. I really think so. I hate to say that because I'm a live music guy. But
you're basically saying it's less people.
Less people. I tell people all the time, they'll call me and they'll say, geez, I only have 2,500. Could you cut the size of the band down? I said no, and let me give you some great advice. A good DJ is always going to be better than a mediocre band. A good DJ is not going to be better than a good band. I'm going to kick their ass every single time. But a good DJ is better than a mediocre band every time. And I was just talking the other night with my friend Ben about it. He did 4 weddings in the last 10 days. People are doing these micro things and this and that. And yeah, Andy, I think you're in good shape. I think I would start marketing myself just like that. I can come in, I can take care of you soup to nuts, production-wise, music-wise, the whole thing. I don't take up much space. I have no idea what Andy charges, but I'm guessing in our market, if somebody wanted to give Andy a couple $1,000s to go do their wedding reception this weekend, he'd be pretty happy. They're not. I can't get off the couch for $2,000 for my band for sure. No, I think the trios, I think the DJs. Sadly, I think the bands that have fewer members but use pre-recorded tracks along with them, which here's how I feel about pre-recorded tracks. There's only one time you're going to hear a pre-recorded track that I'm involved in, and it'll be at my funeral. That's the only time. If I'm standing on the stage, everything you hear is, I tell the crowd, I said, no tracks, no tricks. If you like it, it's us. If you don't like it, it's still us. That's who we are. But I think the smaller footprint, musical organizations are going to have a decent year. I think the bands that are in trouble are in the middle. I think the Big Ray, the Cool Cats, guys been around a long time, have good contacts with vendors. All our clients have money. I think we're okay. I think the really small things, the micro bands, if you will, the DJs, I think they're going to be okay. I think those bands in the middle are in a lot of trouble.
You're amazing. You're an easy interview. Ray Caddell, guys. Big Ray and the Cool Cats. The guy's a Renaissance guy. Thank you, my friend. I thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you.
Anytime. Anytime. And if Andy's still around, good luck, man. If you want to chat sometime, just give me a call.
Andy, reach out to Ray. He is happy to give some advice. Thank you, Ray.
Yep.
See
you
care.
guys.
Take care. Good show. Good show. Good show. And I agree with him. I think the vendor that's able to provide full service or additional value is going to be the coveted vendor. And that's for any business, certainly any business that's involved in a pandemic. So if you can go there and be the DJ, and then you can be you can do the audio and visual, you can mic up the officiant, you can get the toast, you can do the introduction as people are coming in, the bridal party, the groom party as they're coming in and they're doing their dance and people call their name. That's value proposition. That is value proposition. And if you're one person or two people or three people and you're able to provide multiple vendor services, you're going to be coveted. You're going to be coveted. Great show. Thank you to Dave Norris. Thank you to Cristelle. Thank you to Ray Caddell. Very grateful for you guys joining us today on Thursday morning where we spotlight Virginia weddings and events here on the I Love CVille network. The I Love CVille show starts in roughly 1 hour and 5 minutes. And folks, it's going to be explosive. We'll see you very soon. Take care.